Greece. The last 500 years of history have not been kind to our nation, as after peaking in both power and influence under the Byzantine Empire, we got conquered by the Ottomans and got subjugated by them for 400 years. And after fighting hard for our independence, we ended up with a German king on our throne. Luckily, in the year 1924, the king was removed from power, and now elections are coming up which will decide the future of our nation. 7 days later, the fascists were elected into power, promising to make Greece return to its time of being a superpower. But then, just days later, King George and his supporters marched on the capital, Athens, and couped the government. But surprisingly, instead of putting himself in absolute power, King George instead worked with the fascist party in Greece, as they both have the same goal of making Greece a superpower once again. But before we can expand Greece, we must fix our economy, because after the Great War, our economy is in shambles. We have a lot of debt to the great powers, and we have a high percentage of unemployed people. So then we focused on paying our debt, and we cooperated with foreign monopolies to open up more factories in Greece to reduce the unemployment. Now, after doing all that economy stuff, it's time for us to expand. And the first target we have in our sights is Turkey, as we want to retake Constantinople to be our capital. It's time to take revenge for 400 years of misery. After declaring war on the Ottomans, we realized that we had severely overestimated their army, as it was easy to walk into Constantinople and into Ankara. We were able to defeat Turkey in just a few months before any of the great powers could intervene. We did it. We have conquered our centuries-old enemy, the Turks. But we're not just gonna stop here. We plan to conquer all of the Balkan. So, days later, we declared war on Bulgaria and Yugoslavia. And seeing how easy it was for us to conquer Turkey, our army had no difficulty conquering the rest of the Balkan, except for Romania, which had joined the Axis unfortunately. Just then, bad news. Italy had started justifying a war goal on us because we conquered their parts of Yugoslavia, and we have only 150 days before the full force of the Axis attacks us. So, to prepare for the war to come, we upgraded our army template divisions and also trained 72 new divisions. And then, after 150 days, the war is here. At first we were doing really good, even wiping out the Italian forces in Albania, but then we had to retreat from northern Yugoslavia as we had no supplies over there. We had to forcefully retreat our forces from North Yugoslavia, as they were at risk of getting encircled. But after stabilizing the front line, it became a stalemate, as the Balkans are mostly mountainous, so neither side could advance. So we're gonna have to come up with a new plan, and we decided to go in on armor divisions. But since the Balkan is mostly mountain, we can only advance in Romania, as only in Romania is there some flat land. 150 days later, our armored divisions were ready, and during that time, the Germans also declared war on the Soviets, thinning up their front lines. So now it's time to try to push the Axis back. With the Allies coming in from the west, the Soviets from the east, and us from the south, it's only a matter of time before Germany is defeated. But right now, we control some parts of Ukraine, and after the war, we're gonna have to return it back to the Soviets. So why not just attack them now? This has been part of our king's plan from the very beginning, as we plan to liberate our Orthodox brothers from the godless Soviets. At the beginning, most of the land that the Soviets controlled was flat plains, so our tanks were very effective and it was easy to push them out. Also in the Caucasus, we trained new mountaineer special divisions, which were able to take the Caucasus very easily also. And with the Soviet army still in disarray because of Stalin's purges, our push into the Soviet Union went very well. Just then we got the news that the German government capitulated, but there were still remnants of the Nazi army still in countries like Denmark, France, Norway, and those countries. But that means we were able to put most of our army on the Soviet border, and within a few days our experts predict that we will take Moscow and Leningrad. A few days later we capitulated the Soviets and then puppeted them, but we don't own all of our claimed territory yet, as we have some claimed territory in Africa, which Britain and France owns. So we're gonna have to go to war with the Allies, including America. We then declared war on the Allies, but France's army was in disarray after fighting Germany, so we were able to quickly overrun them and their positions in Africa. We also were able to take the Suez Canal fairly quickly, but then after that it became a stalemate as Britain's navy was too big for us to defeat and we couldn't cross the English Channel. So we began working on the nuclear bomb with some help from German scientists. A few days later, we bombed London, but Winston Churchill still refused to give up. So then, our next bombs, we used a little bit more carefully. We bombed the UK's navy and their air force, so we have complete navy dominance and air dominance. And then next, we use a bunch of paratroopers to invade England. Unfortunately, out of all the paratrooper divisions we sent, only about half of them survived. But lucky for us though, they were able to capture a port in England. And using that port, we shipped our troops to Britain. And their army is not very good as they don't focus on it very much. So we were able to capitulate Britain very easily. We capitulated Britain, but we were still at war with the USA. But luckily, when Britain capitulated, most of their navy was only damaged by the nuclear bombs, not sunk, so we were able to repair them and steal their navy. We then used their navy, moved it halfway across the world, and invaded Alaska using their navy. Using Alaska, we invaded into Canada. And even though there was not much supplies in Canada or Alaska, thanks to our nuclear bomb, if we were just losing a battle, we could just nuke our enemy. So we practically won every battle. And then within a few days, we reached the US border. And then that was it for them. After a few months of fighting, they capitulated. And now we rule the world. Now Greece is the last superpower in the world and all other countries are submissive to us. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and share to your family and friends so that my channel can grow. And if there's anything wrong with my video, please put it in the comments so I can improve.